Capital Hoops. Today, I am joined with DeMatha, class of 2017 wing, DJ Harvey, who is now at Vanderbilt, just finishing up a transfer redshirt year. DJ, it's been a couple years since you've been on the Capital Hoops channel, but you were a fan favorite back in the day. And, I filmed a lot of your games, a lot of highlights of you, and it's really cool to catch up with you now.
Good question.
So thanks for joining me.
No, thanks for having me, man. Great to get back.
I guess let's just start from, I'll ask you some DeMatha questions in a little bit, but just walk me through your last few years. Obviously, you started at Notre Dame. You're now at Vanderbilt, but kind of walk me through, like, from graduation at DeMatha until today, just in a couple minutes of kind of the last 3 years.
Man, last 3 years, been a roller coaster ride. So, graduated DeMatha 17, summer, worked out, went to my first summer session at Notre Dame. Worked real hard, the hardest I've ever worked up to that point. Then my freshman season came around, got like 9 games in, I had microfracture surgery on my knee. So I cut my freshman career short, didn't come back until like a week or two before my sophomore season.
Were you able to try to apply for a medical redshirt, or 9 games is just like past the point?
Nah, man, it was past it. And then so yeah, I was past it. It was definitely hurt. And then, Notre Dame was definitely going through it too with injuries at that point, with Bonzi going down, Matt going down.
Right.
And then especially with this microfracture surgery, and not a lot of people come back from it. I was non-weight bearing for like 8 months.
Wow.
So yeah. So then
was there like a specific injury where it happened, or was it like an accumulation of things?
So it's like, over time, wear and tear, just too much, too much miles on the knee. So I just ended up going up for a rebound and then like pinched some of my cartilage off. And then, it was a whole mess. So,
how has that affected your explosiveness? Because I know that was like that was like a key part of your game, was your hops, your springs, your ability to, get off the floor, and the microfracture assumably impacts that, right?
Yeah, definitely. Even though I came back probably more explosive, it's just a mental thing. It was mental, because like once I came back, I was scared to jump hard off of it because I didn't want to do it again. And then the doctors kept saying it's not going to happen right away. If I were to re-injure this knee, it's going to happen like 6 months, a year down the road. So that always stuck in my mind. But yeah, the explosiveness part it was just mental. So I like to think I got over it now. So I'm back to my old self.
So you would say today that your athleticism has not been compromised at all by this injury?
No. If my athleticism was compromised, it'd be probably weight. That'd pretty much be it.
Okay. So you said you had the surgery and you were out for how long?
I was out for a year. So I came back 2 weeks before the season started. And then I started every game since. And then after that season, decided to transfer.
Why was that? You don't need to like really get into it, but why transfer?
Yeah, I didn't feel like it was the right system for me. The Notre Dame type of basketball just, didn't suit me. And both the coaching staff and, I recognized that, came to an agreement about it. Also, it just, didn't hold up on both ends. Like we didn't live up to expectation on both ends. So, me not getting that year or a year and a half, to develop at Notre Dame, due to my injury, and then that off season couldn't do anything. So, and then kind of just being thrown in the fire my sophomore season. I couldn't live up to my expectations, and the coaching staff, at Notre Dame couldn't really hold up their expectations either because it's a business, and they started recruiting players in my position, so they had more mouths to feed, and so yeah, I just decided that it was best for me to take my talents elsewhere.
And how did you? So you enter the transfer portal, and then how does that work? You have different schools kind of like re-recruiting you the same way you were in high school again?
Yeah, it was just like high school over again. I really, that was a really good time for me because college, it can humble you real quick.
Right.
Those top guys coming out of high school, not being able to produce, all that pressure. I admit I was one of those guys that didn't live up to the hype coming out of high school. It was definitely an adjustment period. So yeah, with the whole transferring thing, it was just like high school over again. So as a family, we decided to do this, differently than we did the first time around.
In what regards?
Just taking our time, and we realized what we wanted, out of a school. We wanted transparency, not somebody that's going to say, oh yeah, we're going to run through you, we're going to give you this, that, and the other. Like we wanted to go somewhere where it was a family feel, had to work for everything. And just also since it was going to be development year, we wanted somebody that, could develop me properly in that year. Because I definitely needed a year back, especially missing that with that knee injury.
So the whole time you're going through this recruiting stage, you're still taking classes and living at Notre Dame. Is that right? Or it was like during the summer after that?
Yeah. I had to finish classes.
So what is that like? So you're on the Notre Dame campus, going to class every day, seeing your teammates who know that you've entered the transfer portal, and you're fielding calls from all these colleges across the country trying to get you to go there. I mean, is that like an awkward period of time?
Yeah, it was definitely awkward, especially like with the students at Notre Dame. Like they were just like, everybody was saying, "Oh, please don't go, don't go," like all that stuff. And then like with my teammates, I didn't even get a chance to tell them. They had found out on social media somehow. Like I didn't even tell anyone that I was planning on transferring because I wanted to tell them first.
Right.
And this tweet said like DJ Harvey enters transfer portal. So yeah, and then the guys came to me and like, "What's this?" And I was like, "Oh man, like I wanted to tell you guys. I don't know how that came out, but so yeah, so I'd also have to work out in the facilities too. So like I'd see them in the facilities working out. So it was definitely awkward. But I mean, the guys, we always have each other's best interests in heart. It's all love.
So how long were schools recruiting you before you landed on Vanderbilt?
Before I landed on, that was like, it was like high school all over again. There was a bunch. So
how long was that process from the time you entered the transfer portal to the time where you said, all right, the next stop is Vanderbilt? Was it like a couple months, 6 months, a couple weeks?
It was a couple months. So it was a couple months, and then so when I went home, my dad had been put in the hospital for kidney failure.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it's all good. He's doing much better. He's on dialysis now. So when we got home, we scheduled in-home visits. So I think we had 5 in-home visits. I chose Ohio State, Oregon, Vandy. Who else? I think it was. I'm blanking on the other 2, but yeah. So we had some really good programs. Reach out. It was just like I said, just like high school all over again.
And when you finally decided on Vanderbilt, you call Stackhouse and give him the word and just get things moving, basically?
Yeah, definitely. So like what stood out about Vanderbilt was, he brought his whole coaching staff from the NBA. He coached all three levels from uh, high school, AAU, uh, you know, G League, NBA, and he brought his whole coaching staff with him from the Memphis Grizzlies. And then he was just like he kept it so like real. I there was never it wasn't like that with anyone that I had talked to on the phone or in home visits. Uh, so he basically told me how to work for everything. Nothing was going to be given to me. Um, and he told me I was going to be uncomfortable. So that really stuck out with me because when I look back through Notre Dame, DeMatha, I was always able to coast and be, the best player on the court. Never really had to work for anything, and then I was comfortable with being comfortable. So, and I felt like in order to make it to the next level, I needed to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. So that really sold me with Vanderbilt, and also just academic-wise as well. Oh, and Nashville. So I'm originally from Huntsville.
Right,
So
right.
so it's only an hour 30 from the old house. So I have my dad and my family coming to all my games.
I think that's incredible awareness on your part that you're able to see that, you were able to coast and just kind of get by being the most athletic and maybe the tallest at some point. I think that it shows a lot in your maturity that you're able to recognize that and you don't, make excuses up. So
Yeah,
tell
definitely.
tell me about this most recent year during your transfer year at Vanderbilt. Like what you're working out with the guys, but you can't travel to away games. Is that how it works?
Yeah, can't travel to away games. Yeah.
But
So
you practice with them live practice every day, like you're on the team, right?
yeah,
And how
yeah. I
how
go
are the
live.
practices?
The practices were great. Aaron Naismith. He's going to be a potential lottery pick this year. And then Saban Lee, he's going to be a top 40 pick. So just going up against those guys, every day in practice, um, holding my own, just performing, just getting better every day, and just kind of getting my confidence back, which I definitely did this past year. Playing, sitting out and then going in practices. I was able to learn a lot, from the film, our tendencies, especially with it being a first year program. So everybody had to learn new stuff. And then, so yeah, it was a great development year. Also, they wanted me to lose some weight. So with that, I had to lose weight. And then
Had you gotten
just,
bigger? Had you gained weight
oh yeah, definitely gained weight. Because, when
during
I
the
decided,
during the injury?
yeah, during the injury and, when I decided to transfer, I couldn't work out with the guys anymore. So I could only, shoot, for real. So I picked up some weight doing that. So they wanted me to get back down to like 215, 220.
And have you been able to do that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Good. So where is your game? I mean, we saw you play at Notre Dame, but obviously at DeMatha we saw you play like every day. How is your game right now compared to say your DeMatha days? I mean, are you an athletic slasher that can still shoot? I mean, like how would you compare your game today from DeMatha 2016-17?
Compared to the math, I like to think I'm more efficient now. Um, I work smarter, not harder for my buckets. I still am a shot creator, um, difficult shot taker, maker. Um, I still slash. Yep. And then I believe my 3-point shot has gotten way more consistent, especially from deep. So that's going to be huge. Um, and then yeah, I also in college I never really liked to drive because I guess I wasn't really confident, like comfortable or confident with it, like I was in high school. So I'm getting back to driving a lot more and getting back comfortable with driving.
Why do you think you weren't comfortable driving? I mean, you've had so much success doing that in your career.
Just going in the ACC, and then, like I said, confidence is huge in college basketball. In high school, regardless if there was like a 7-foot dude or, this athletic guy down low, I always had confidence that nobody can stop me going to the rim. But in the ACC, you got these 7-foot guys. There's the defense is so sound. Like there's going to be proper rotations. It's just not isolation ball and then like people scared to contest like your layups. So in college, it was definitely an adjustment, to get comfortable driving again with like grown men. Because in high school, like, the biggest, most athletic person on the court, most oftentimes than not. And then ACC college basketball, I was just an average athlete, like, average athlete. So, it takes a toll on you mentally.
Yeah. So let's talk about the DeMatha days. Let's start from middle school. I know coming out of middle school, you were one of the top dogs in the country. Everyone wanted you for high school. Why DeMatha, coming from Alabama?
So Alabama, we believed it was, a football dominant state. And don't get me wrong, there was a lot of guys that came out of Alabama that, have done very well and have been in the top 25, like Wendell Moore, Trendon Wofford, John Petty, Josh Langford. We just decided that we should probably decided to go up to DC. And Mike Jones, Coach Mike Jones, he was always reaching out. Not really. They couldn't really recruit, but I don't know how that worked. But anyway, we somehow ended up in DC. We looked at PVI, Gonzaga. I know what happened. Okay, so we wanted to move to DC because it was a hotbed for basketball. So when we get there, I have my first practice with Takeover 17s, and that's when they decided
17s.
Yeah.
As an eighth grader.
Yeah, going into my freshman year. Wow. So that's when they decided that I should play 16s. So and then they told me to look into at that time, word I got out that we're moving to DC. So I heard from PVI, DeMatha, Gonzaga, Sidwell. What pushed it over the top with DeMatha is just all the guys they put out. And great court. And then I heard about their academics. My dad and my parents are both just huge in academics. So they were just big on, DeMatha from the start. And, it was just the history behind DeMatha that really got me there.
And talk to me about, as you look back on your DeMatha days, like when you think back on your days at DeMatha, tell me kind of what your thoughts are. How did your career go? What could you have done differently? As you see all these guys who you played with all branching out and playing collegiately and professionally, and you got Chase Young who's about to get drafted in the NFL. Just what are kind of some of your thoughts on all that?
Well, it was definitely a blessing, playing with all those guys, and then even not playing with some of the guys, like the guys that played football, track, soccer. It was just a hotbed, just, for athletes in general. And, I was just blessed to be part of it. Playing with Chase and Markel. Chase was always he was one of the most, like, cockiest people you would have ever met. And, like,
really?
he like, not cocky in a bad way, but he believed in himself. And it was very contagious. So, playing with him, really got showed me what it means to be confident. And then, like, he said, he literally told me, I will be, like, the first pick in the NFL draft. And then now he might, I think he might be actually, he will first pick in the NFL draft. And then, with Markel, he came from out of nowhere, top 10 guy, and then the number 1 overall pick. It was hard to see him like go through what he was with his shoulder, and then now seeing him come back slowly but surely, it's just great to see him. And he's not even close to like playing the way like we know he can play. Right. So that's going to be interesting. And really just with everyone at DeMatha, just hard work was the motto, especially with Chase, Markel, Nate, Reggie. I played with a lot of great players. And then my career as a player at DeMatha, 0 for 4 WCAC championships. So that's one big thing I regret. Sophomore year, missing those free throws. I still think about those to this day.
Do you really?
Yeah, it was crazy. And then, honestly, I think sophomore and junior year, I just got so complacent. Because coming into DeMatha, I was like 3rd in the country, and then by sophomore year, I was 12, and then by like beginning of junior year, I was 19, and then by the end of junior year, I fell to like 47. So like that was a hard time, especially for me. Looking back, I was just so complacent, thinking I could get away with anything. And what I failed to realize, and I tell those guys all the time, like Trevor, Earl, Hunter, Doug, Roach, like don't become complacent, because there's always somebody that wants to take your spot. That's somebody always working, like while you're not, to get what you have. And just don't take what you have for granted. So, I always try to tell the younger guys that I was like, that were in the same, like similar position that I was in high school. Just try to make sure they stay on the right path.
How about, talk to me quickly about your takeover time. You played on the highest level, obviously in the EYBL. What are your thoughts looking back on that?
Oh, I love playing with Keith, man. Keith Stevens, I still think to this day he's one of my best coaches I've ever had. That was my first taste of college coaching, I like to think. He was one of the first coaches that always held me accountable. Wasn't afraid to say what he wasn't afraid to like say what was on his mind. He wasn't afraid to criticize me. But also it was just a family. All the whole coaching staff would take over. It was just a big family. And when I come home, I'm always working out with them. So, it was just a great time. Learned a lot, played with a lot of great guys like BJ, Luca's doing great. Chris, Aaron, just all those guys that we still have bonds with today. It was just great playing against each other in high school, like regular high school ball, and then just coming together during the summer and just teaming up and doing great things together.
Great. Let me ask you this: if you look back at your high school career, whether it's Takeover or DeMatha, what is like your top 1 or 2 memories?
Oh, top 1 or 2 memories from DeMatha. I'd have to say like freshman year. I think we were playing. It was at the Hoops Festival. I forget who we played, but yeah, Corey. It was that go-to play in the zone where they had set the back screen.
Yeah.
For my lob play,
Yeah.
So I remember Corey Henson. Yeah, that's my guy too. Corey's doing great things too. Like I always looked up to Corey, but anyway, so he threw me the regular lob, it was just a terrible pass. But so like so like and then like one of their big guys from it was the green and black team. I don't remember who it was, but yeah. So he threw me the lob, and the guy was under me, and I ended up dunking on him. So it was also like a big play in the game too. Changed the whole momentum of the game. And then I'd have to say, the Hoop Hall Classic in Springfield when
Jason Tatum.
yeah
That
watching
one?
him, that one, which when we played Chaminade, I think that was when Markel came to his own. Like that was the game Markel made a name for himself. We ended up beating them, and then the following year, or wait, my senior year when we went back and we played Bishop Gorman, and then I got the MVP for that. So I think I had like 30.
You remember the buzzer beater you hit against Jason Tatum in that hoop hall game to send the game into overtime?
Oh yeah, corner, yeah.
I was actually I was watching that like 2 or 3 nights ago.
Oh yeah. I totally forgot. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff I could have said for high school.
I got another memory to ask you about. Do you remember Stag Madness? You and Markel in the dunk contest together.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
You did the was it you or Markel that did the baseline like off the side of the backboard 360? Do you remember that?
I think Markel did the off the backboard windmill. Yeah, I did because I did the same thing at Alhambra. So yeah, I did the off the backboard 360.
So last thing I want to ask you about is how are you guys treating this COVID-19? I know you mentioned a minute ago that your father had some kidney issues, which makes him, probably in that high risk category.
Yeah.
How are you and your family? I'm sure you have to be very careful.
Oh yeah, definitely. So with this whole quarantine thing going, try to keep busy. They send us in-home workouts. I go for a 2-mile run every day, and then also I do some workouts on the outdoor courts by my house.
You do a lot of Zoom stuff with the team. Do they have a lot of interaction or no?
Oh yeah, so the coaches FaceTime us.
Okay.
We had our first Zoom meeting like 2 or 3 days ago, but before that they had always FaceTime us separately, and then we have a group chat, so they always keep in contact.
Cool. Well, you got anything for the DMV? You got any lasting memories or anything you want to say?
Man, I always love the DMV, man. Thank you for, a great 4 years and all the memories. This will forever be home for me.
All right. Well, DJ, we really appreciate your candid insight. It's really cool to see how you look back on things and how you're able to put things in perspective and I guess learn from your mistakes. I mean, your ability to recognize that you coasted and maybe you didn't put in the work. It's really refreshing to kind of hear those viewpoints. But I'm always rooting for you. It was awesome covering you for 4 years, and I look forward to. I got family in Nashville, so I look forward to coming down and seeing what you got this year.
Absolutely, can't wait.
All right, thanks, DJ.
Thank you.